All right. So, hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of the Hack Share. Today, I'm thrilled to be speaking with my next guest. He is a five-time TEDx speaker. He is a Josh Talk speaker. He is the young published novelist from Kanpur, youth mentor with his internationally acclaimed debut novel, A Celebration in Tribulation, which he's written by the age of 16. He's been awarded among the top 100 inspiring authors of India by T.I.A. He has a passion for public speaking, writing, mentoring, teaching, and he wants to make a positive impact in the world. He is so inspiring and he's done so much, and he's only 18. I can't wait for everybody to tune in and listen to my next guest. My guest today is Yash Tiwari. Yash, how you doing today?
Hello everyone, Namaste from India. Very happy to be on this platform and very excited to be interacting with you today, John.
No, it's great. It's great. Yash, so on this podcast, I find out from my amazing guests their journey, how they overcame adversity and mental health challenges to now becoming successful in their field, turning their lives around, but also helping and inspiring others. And I know for a fact that with you, what you want to do is help and inspire others by all the talks, all the TEDx, all the books that you're writing. But firstly, how do you do so much in such a short period of time, and where do you get your inspiration from?
So see, I'll be very honest with you about this. Whenever I embark on some project, let's say I'm writing some book or I'm preparing for a certain TED talk that I have to deliver, I never ever consider that, I am this 18-year-old guy or I am this 16-year-old guy who is working on something. I just focus on the thing that I'm doing itself. And I just focus on the fact that, yes, I, as a person with a voice, have a duty to use it to the best of my potential for the greater good of the world. My age, or let's just say my experience, is never, I would say, an obstructing factor in that in any way. So it is never like I have to, maintain a mindset to be doing great things even at this young age. It all is something that I consider as my duty, as somebody who does have a voice, as somebody who does have some brilliant concepts in mind that can be used for the greater good of the world, for influencing the people or impacting the mind of the youngsters like my own self. Now, if I talk about the inspiration, because I think this is one question that I'm asking all of my interviews, that where does that inspiration come from? Or like, let's say if there are thousands of youngsters out there in the world who consider you as your idol or as your mentor, then who is your mentor? Who is your inspiration? And my answer always remains the same. I cannot name this one specific person whom I consider as my inspiration, because even a person right in front of me who is failing, not just succeeding, can be an inspiration for me, because his failure is teaching me about something in life.
In terms of your inspiration, I know you may not necessarily have someone per se that you look up to, but what gets you out of bed in the morning? What inspires you?
Yeah.
Or where do you get your topics from that you think, do you know what, I really need to talk about this today. I need the people to hear about this specific avenue or area that I'm covering.
So basically, what I believe that in my life, whenever I get up on any certain day to, let's say, write a certain book or deliver a certain talk or prepare for a certain session that I have to, deliver someday soon, I always think of just one thing in particular. First and foremost, that whatever I'm saying, it should actually be illuminating a certain social topic that people might not be aware about. Because if I am putting in my energy into something that has already been spoken, that has already been discussed about, and whether or not it is being implemented, but it has been discussed, then I should rather redirect my energy and my efforts towards something that the society needs to know more about, whether it is mental health or coronavirus outbreak, whatever it might be. It requires somebody to speak about it. It requires somebody to illuminate these social topics, just like I did in my first book, which was based on this neurological ailment called the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, the CJD disease, which was, by the way, world's first fiction novel based on this particular ailment. So that was the inspiration behind it, to write a book on something that had never been discussed in a fictional narrative thus far. And then apart from that, another inspiration comes from the belief. And I personally do not believe in what I'm being invited for or believe in what I'm asked to speak, then I will not go ahead with it. Because if I do not feel that attachment, that connection with my own words, with my own voice, and if I do not believe in what I am myself saying, then there is no need to even do it in the first place. So that is another, I would say, aspect of my psychology regarding where the inspiration to do all these works comes from, whether I believe in it or not. And
Mm.
secondly, whether I'm illuminating a certain social topic that requires some light.
Yeah. Because I think that from what you're doing, one area that I know is something that you strongly believe in and something that you want to make a difference in is the mental health in the youngsters. And you've talked about this before in one of your, TEDx, where you said why we need more youngsters who are willing to start a conversation. To you, why is it so important for the youngsters to express themselves?
I think the answer is quite obvious over here, because these youngsters are going to be the global change makers in the coming years. They are literally the torch bearers of our global future. Like, just think about it. If currently we conceptualize about ways in which we can solve climate issues, or ways in which we can solve educational issues, or ways in which we can solve the political issues in the coming years, then who exactly is going to do that? Who exactly has the responsibility and has the duty to get all of that into the actual world, to make those plans and those concepts come to life in the actual world in the coming years? They are the youngsters. The entire, I would say, the sustainability, even the delicate sustainability of this world, the greatest of ideas that we have to make this world better, they rest entirely on the shoulders of our youngsters. Then if at the same time these youngsters are not psychologically strong over here in the mind, then how can we possibly expect that they can, let's say, perform to the best of their possibility, or they can improve this world to the best of their ability in the coming years itself? That wouldn't be possible in the first place. So that is why I personally believe, and being a youngster myself, I can
Mm.
understand how important it is for youngsters like my own self to be there to start those conversations, to be there to advocate for these psychological concerns that most of the people in the past generations did not even talk about, let alone solve. So that is why I feel so strongly about the youngsters like my own self, who need to start conversations about these delicate topics in the world of today as well as in the world of tomorrow.
Mm. Yeah, I think as well, because there's for me personally, I think there's more of a generational shift now, because more people are talking about mental health as being adults, where now they're expressing the importance of talking about mental health to their kids. So then I can see then in the future that generational shift will apply. But what else?
Absolutely.
What do you think that we could be doing more of? Say, if there's parents listening, or if there's teachers or educators that are speaking to these youngsters, what could we do more to get the message out there to help them?
Well, I think one of the best answer to this question lies in what we are already doing. And that is the fact that, yes, we are conversing about these psychological concerns. We are talking about the importance of mental health, but are we talking enough? Are we actually breaking all the barricades of stigma, all the barricades of fear, all the barricades of uncertainties that surround these mental health concerns? Like, even if we talk about the fact that, yes, so many countries around the world have finally started to discuss about these mental health concerns, and these are becoming important parts of the social discussions that are being have had, but still, are the suicide rates going down or are they going up? Are
Mm.
the depression rates going down or are they going up? These numbers itself tell us that no matter how much we are talking right now, it is still not enough. We need to do more. We need to talk more. And it is not just about talking more, it is about talking without any fear. It is about talking without any stigma. We need to let our younger generation know that if you come to us and if you speak about those psychological concerns or those psychological dilemmas that you are facing, we are not going to judge you. We are going to be there to support you. We are going to be there to help you. Like, for example, let us just say that, hypothetically speaking, John, you have some depression related concerns
Mhm.
rising up in your mind right now, and you come to me to speak about it, and then I start judging you based on it, that how can you possibly be depressed at the moment when you have so much of work, when you have so much of duties, when you have so much of joy in your life? So eventually what would happen is that, because you have seen somebody, that one person, that only one person whom you reached out to about your psychological concern, judge you, because you saw that person question your, I would say, that mental state which you are in right now. Eventually you will start questioning whether you even need to discuss about it or not, whether there is even a point in discussing about it or not. That is what we need to work upon. That is what I would say the elder generation needs to work upon. We need to start breaking down and crumbling down that stigma which is still surrounding our mental health concerns when it comes to the younger generation. We need to let them know that yes, they can come to us, they can be comfortable, and we are going to be there to talk to them, to support them, and not just judge them based on who they are or what they have went through.
Yeah, that's it. Also, as well, I think because, and it's something that I want to ask you about, because you, before pandemic hit, then you were speaking in schools, and I think it was even universities. You were, talking to the youngsters.
Absolutely.
And when I
Yeah.
asked you earlier on in the conversation, what is your inspiration? What do you find is their inspiration, their model of getting this information by showing them that actually talking about mental health is okay? Because you might have some people that, and some youngsters that might feel that they can't talk to their parents about this, but yet they look for their inspiration on social media. Where do you think, from when you're speaking to the youngsters, that the inspiration lies, where we can tap into that avenue more so to make a bigger impact?
Social media, for sure, like you mentioned, it is perhaps the greatest avenue that we have at the moment, from what I can see, because technology has become this integral part of our lives. It is not just this additional aspect of our world that we can possibly depend upon. It is something that we are getting more and more dependent upon every day that passes by. Like,
Mhm.
even the most common actions of our life, even the most common duties of our life are now being taken care of, or let us say being supported by the technology that we have at the moment. Like, even for example, the conversation that we are having right now, you are there in the UK, I'm here in India, yet we are talking about the mental health concern, and we are addressing the global audiences from around the world, whether it is India or USA or China or Russia or whatnot. How are we able to do that? Because we are connected. We are tapping into the power of connection through the social media platform, through the internet that we have at the moment. So I think, as you mentioned, internet and the social media in general, the technology that it is coming from, this is perhaps one of the greatest avenue that we have to propagate more information. And I should like clearly mention right information, appropriate information about how mental health concerns should be dealt with, how mental health concerns should be addressed, and how these people who approach you about these psychological concern, they should be helped, they should be guided. That is what can be preached, and that is, I think, what is already being preached through these social networking platforms. But we need to do that more. Like I said earlier, there is always some room for improvement, there is always some room for expansion of doing what we are doing. So that is what I hope, that this avenue of internet, as we mentioned, is used in the coming years as well. And then I would say, additionally, along with this, the visual content, even the literary content, whether we talk about novels or books, or we talk about Netflix series or series on Amazon Prime or whichever platform you can possibly think of, even these series, these visual contents, these literary contents that the youngsters are consuming every single day, they are spending like hours upon hours of their life in getting invested into these, I would say, these platforms of content on every single day's basis. So I think
Mm.
these platforms should also be used to the best of our ability to propagate more right information, appropriate information about how these mental health concerns need to be addressed, and why it is so important to discuss about our psychological concerns in the first place. So according to me, there are so many avenues that we have at the moment to propagate the message of the importance of our mental health. It is just that how much are we doing out of it? That is
Mm.
what I would like to raise a question mark on.
Yeah, that's it. And I think there's more that can be done. And I think when you mention social media, it can be a blessing, but also a curse for people, because sometimes you
That
could use
is,
social media and it can actually heighten your
yeah.
emotions and make you feel worse than when you first went on there. But what do you think, for a tip for the youngsters that may be listening, how can they use social media better, that they're seeing the things that inspire them and helping them, as opposed to things that are keeping them back and making them worse off, if that makes sense?
That is a great question, I must say, John. And the answer lies in the fact, which is in fact not related to the social media in the first place. It is related to our physical world, the world that we are living in right now. So, right now, when you sit over here and when you converse with me, you can talk with me in a very cordial manner and you can, let's say, be very generous with me. You can be very appreciative of me, or you can be just like straight away rude, abusing me, and whatever maddening things we can possibly think of, because there is always a possibility of doing something good or doing something bad.
Mhm.
There is always some good or some bad that you are surrounded by in the world. Now, it is absolutely up to you which direction you choose to walk into. What I would say, even information, the slightest of information you are willing to consume, that is on you. You cannot always say that, the social media changed my perspective. These platforms like Facebook or YouTube, they changed my ideology. And that is why I think the way I think right now. That can be the truth, but that cannot be the entire truth. If you are letting the maddening things or the saddening things or the remorseful content on a certain social media platform affect you and the way that you think and the way that you live your life, whether it is about your confidence or about your regular actions or about your regular habits, and if you are getting entirely affected by something on the internet, a certain meme that you saw on a certain social media platform, then that is on you. So the accountability of being affected by these social networking platforms when it comes to the mental health in particular has to be there. We individually need to understand that yes, it is up to us whether we are consuming the right form of content or the wrong form of content. And of course, there is a possibility that the content in general that is being conveyed to you through news platforms or social media might not be that much dependable or that much appropriate in the first place. But then you also need to use your brain to filter out what is right and what is wrong. So that would be my suggestion on this particular point, that we need to be mature enough to understand what is the good content that we are consuming, which we need to consume, and what are the things that we actually need to filter out. Like,
Mm.
for example, I would like to cite a very brief example over here, that recently only, you must be aware of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right, who is a congresswoman from the US.
Mhm.
And she posted a video about the incident that took place in the US recently. But then, more importantly, she spoke about her past traumas in life that she had gone through, which kind of affected her on a psychological basis. And then when I saw the comment box of that particular video, I was, of course, completely inspired by what she spoke, how strong she was in speaking about her mental health concerns and all that she has gone through. But
Mhm.
then when I went through the comment box, like, believe me or not, but 70% of the comments were just about harassing her, were just about saying that, this girl is just creating a mess out of what she has gone through. She's not even that much depressed. She's not even, she has not even gone through that much of trauma to talk about mental health in the first place, and whatnot, like the absurd form of rubbish that you can possibly think of.
Mhm.
And in that moment, I decided that I can either feel inspired by the certain video that I've seen right now, or I can fall prey to the negative content that is there right below the video. It is
Mhm.
my choice. It is my conscious choice that I have to make. So, whether you are taking the accountability of making those choices every single day whenever you log into your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever it might be or not, that is on you. The accountability is in your hand. So, consumption of right information is, I would say, the key to actually using these social media platforms to best of your possibility and their ability to create, I would say, a harmonious avenue for discussing about the mental health concerns or even various other concerns in the world right now.
Yeah. And it's weird that you say that about that video, because you can do so much good in the world and you could put out such a good message, but then you'll always get people who are responding with negative responses. And you think to
Exactly.
yourself, why? Like, I was speaking
Yeah.
to someone a while ago, and they made a great point. They were saying, if you post something on Instagram, for example, and you have the comments underneath, then keep those
Yeah.
comments beneath you, because that's underneath the post. So look at
Exactly.
those comments, they're beneath you. That's nothing to worry about. But I mean, me personally, I got into journaling last year, and that's helped me
That's
because do you journal as well, Yash?
I used to. I'm being honest about it. I used to, but recently I've been so much caught up in work that I did not have much time to, maintain the habit of it.
Yeah.
And I tend to like move away from things which I cannot be very consistent about, because if I'm not being faithful to it, I shouldn't be doing it in the first place. So I will
Right.
be starting that very soon once again. So thank you for the reminder, by the way.
It's good. I mean, it's to me, it's like it's something that's actually changed quite considerably, because I can look at when, for instance, when I'm starting, these podcasts, and I'm starting my YouTube channel, my life coaching business, etc. Then I'll always have that internal self-doubt, and I think by journaling is helping me kind of write down the negative feelings that I'm having for myself, but then also managing the positives from that. So that's helped me. But the reason that I wanted to bring that up is, for you, obviously you're speaking on stage, you're writing books, you're probably getting a lot of feedback because you've got a great social media following as well. How do you manage the negative comments if you do get negative comments? I'm not saying that you
I
do.
do, of course. I mean, no. See, I'll be honest about it over here. Even with the best-selling authors that we have right now in the world, like for example, J.K. Rowling or George R.R. Martin, do you think that they do not get any sort of negative comments, or do you
Mm,
think that they do not get any sort of criticism from their avid readers? Of course they do. That is quite natural. And if I am taking the initiative of writing a book and then, let's say, giving it to billions of readers out there in the world, then I have to be open to the possibility of receiving some criticism on it as well. And if
mm,
I'm not, I would say, confident about having that criticism out there, or that critical opinion by my readers or my viewers out there, then I shouldn't be starting in the first place. So I need to be, and in fact, every person who is starting out something new for the people out there in the world, they need to be confident about the possibility itself of a critical opinion that might be coming on their work in the coming years or in the coming time, whenever
mhm.
they get their work published or whenever they get it out. But anyway, when we talk about how I personally deal with that critical opinion or that critical approach from my readers or from my viewers, I always feel that even with the harshest of comments or even with the harshest of feedbacks, there is something for me to learn from. And I know this sounds cliche, this sounds something that is better said than done, but I genuinely do follow it in my life, and I will always do it for the rest of my life as well. Whatever kind of projects I get out in the world, that if there is a harsh review, if there is certain review which is talking about, how they did not connect with what I was writing, or how did not connect with the story which I had written, or the way in which I had written, the language, or whatever it might be, then I can either feel remorse by it, I can either just give up on all that I have done and give up on the world that I have created in my talks or in my books or whatever it might be, or I can actually use that as a learning experience. I can actually use that as a learning opportunity for me to understand what 1 out of 10 people might not be liking in what I'm writing. And
Mm,
how do I turn that 1 out of 10 to 0 out of 10? Or should I say, how do I turn that 9 out of 10 people liking my book to a 10 out of 10 people liking my book or my talk or whatever it might be? It is a hypothetical example.
mm.
So that is what I think of whenever there is any form of critical, I would say, feedback to what kind of projects I create in my books or in my talks, to think of what I have to learn from the review that I've received, rather than just feeling remorse by it and giving up on the work which I've created. And I'm emphasizing on the word giving up again and again, because I personally know so many people who started out, who wrote things, who spoke about a lot many things, but then they gave up. Why?
Mm.
Because they saw that there were more people criticizing them as compared to the number of people who were appreciating them or who were supporting them. So I would say that even if 9 out of 10 people are at the moment criticizing you, it is for your own benefit only, because that tells you that yes, there is room for improvement. There is, I would say, ways in which you can improve what you are doing right now, in which you can enhance the kind of quality, I should say, the quality of work that you're doing right now. It is just that you need to focus more on that 1 out of 10%. Be optimistic about what you're doing. Have faith in yourself as well, that yes, there is a possibility to improve. And then look on the constructive side of all the criticism that you are receiving. That is what I would like to preach to all the listeners over here.
Yeah, that's good. And to be honest as well, I like the way that you say turn it into a positive, because to be honest, for a person to actually take their time to comment, post it, and have
Yeah.
that there means that what you're doing has impacted
It
them
has
in a
impacted. It
way.
has impacted. Yeah. So, I mean, even if a person is like, I don't want to be very rude about it, but even if a person is uh, being crass about what you're writing, or is just, making a joke out of what you have written or spoken, or let's say posted on your social media platform, it means that whatever you said, every word of it did impact that certain commenter or did impact that certain person. So it just means that your voice and your content already has an impact. It is just that you need to improve, just that you need to enhance. So focus on the glass half full side rather than the glass half empty side. I mean, that is what I, as a public speaker, am obliged to preach about, right? But then again, even in my personal life, optimism might not be the cure to all my problems, but it definitely is a pushing force for me at every step of my life whenever it appears to be dark. So yes, that is what I would like to inspire all of my listeners over here as well, to be more optimistic and focus more on optimism rather than feeling pessimistic about even the slightest of criticism that you might receive on a certain post.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Another thing that I want to speak to you about is when we were speaking a few months ago, I think you were starting your book, Pandemic 2020. Have you just released this book? Is this literally
It
just been
had,
launched?
I think it had just it came out around the time when we spoke last time. It
Yeah.
was a couple of months ago only. And so basically, Pandemic 2020, Rise of the Virus, which is my second novel, which I had written at the age of 16 within a record time of just 30 days. This is world's first fiction novel based on the coronavirus outbreak that we are still going through right now. And it is a globally interconnecting tale which speaks about this ambitious journalist in India, a helpless doctor all the way in US, a poor boy in China, and then a stranded traveler all the way in Italy. And the reason why I have presented this multiplicity of perspectives in my second novel about the COVID-19 outbreak is because I believe that this coronavirus wasn't the story or the journey of just one sort of person, or just, I would say, people from only one walk of life. It affected even those persons who were within the security of their houses,
Hmm.
but still their lives got impacted by it. So, all in all, what I'm trying to say is that every person in every walk of life did get affected by the coronavirus outbreak. It
Hmm.
is just that out of everyone, these are the four journeys, which are, or should I say, these are the four categorizations of people: the medical workers, the journalists, the stranded travelers, and the poor people, whom I personally felt most appealed by, and I personally felt most sympathetic about when they are going through this COVID-19 outbreak, because they are the most helpless ones in the present scenario, even in the present scenario when things are getting better. So,
Mm.
yes, that is what the book is all about. And looking forward to receiving some feedbacks from you as well as all of our viewers over here.
I'm interested to find out how it ends as well, because obviously we're still going through the pandemic.
It has a very, I would say, I mean, it doesn't have a sweet ending. It has a bittersweet ending because the second last chapter is, it is something that invigorates you. It
Mhm.
is something that gives you a sense of joy, a sense of optimism about what is there yet. Like, if we are here right now, if we are speaking about what was or what is, then what still can be? How can we get better from where we are right now? So that is what the second last chapter is all about. But then
Right.
the ending of it is where
Don't ruin it.
I'm not
Don't
going to
ruin
ruin it, but
it.
it is quite saddening. That is all I can say.
Okay.
You will feel heartbroken. So yeah, but that is how the pandemic was, right? I cannot present a very bright picture of something that literally scored the lives of millions of people around the world. So if the pandemic itself was so dark, then it was my obligation, it was my duty to present that dark side of it in my novel as well, which is all about this COVID-19 outbreak. So
Mm,
yes, that is how it ends. But still, there is a lot of enthusiasm and there is a lot of optimism that you will surely get from reading the book.
that's good. When I post this episode, I'll put links to it as well. But what I wanted to find out is, because I think you like to keep pushing yourself self to write your books in quicker times, like Celebration
Yeah.
Tribulation, 22 days. Like, what Are you literally just trying to beat yourself, like to write a book in one day? Is that the final goal for you?
Who knows? Only time will tell.
Wow.
That is what I can say. But the truth is that, I mean, even in my workshops, which I deliver for novel writing, which are about, teaching these youngsters, not just youngsters, but people from around the world about how to write their own novels, how to write their own stories in their books. I always say on the very first day, and this is like my introductory speech, that, you have this mentor who has written his book in 22 days, in 30 days, at the age of 16, at the age of 18, and whatnot. But your mentor is strictly asking you and requesting you to not do the same thing.
Yeah.
The reason being that I never, even for once, I never considered that as, I would say, a goal for me to write a book within a time period of just 30 days. It just happened that way. Because when I get invested into something, I kind of lose the sight of everything to my right, everything to my left, everything around me. When I'm writing something, I might be binge writing it for days upon days, just like people binge watch series on Netflix for days upon days. So that is how my writing habit and my writing process actually is. And that is what enables me to finish off these projects so quickly in such a brief period of time. But then again, it is not a goal or an aim which I set for myself. So I would never ever preach a certain writer out there to follow my footsteps in that regard. Like, if you want to write a book as soon as possible, that is one thing. But that as soon as possible term can even mean 10 years, or it can even mean 1 year, or it can even mean 10 months or so. So don't decide your as soon as possible based on somebody else's record. That is what I would like to be very clear about. And that is what I preach my students of novel writing as well. So yeah, being completely honest about it, I never aimed to finish off these books within that record time of 1 month. It just happened that way. So that is the full honesty over here.
That's brilliant. It seems like you're just in total flow state when you get started. It's just literally, that's it. Tunnel vision.
That is it. And I mean, just think about it. Like, when you're watching a certain series on Amazon or on Netflix, what happens exactly when you're binge watching it for like days upon days? You get invested into the world of it, right? You are just, you feel like you are a part of it. There is no coming out of that world. There is no escaping of this certain, I would say, fictional content which you are watching on your screen right now. So same ways that happens with me while writing as well. Like, when I'm writing Pandemic 2020, no matter how dark it was, no matter how much disheartening it was to research about those, those medical workers and those poor people and those stranded travelers who suffered a great deal during the COVID-19 outbreak. But then when I am writing about it, I feel like I am that medical worker. I feel like I am that stranded traveler. I feel like I am that poor boy, even if I'm writing the book in the convenience of my bed when I'm writing it on my laptop. But I feel on a psychological level like I'm transported into that world. So when, once again, quoting the same example, you feel transported into a certain world, there is no escaping of that until and unless you intentionally try to pull yourself away from it, right? So that is what happens with me while writing my books as well, that I just become a part of the story that I'm writing. So that is how it just ends up getting completed in a very quick period of time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations as well for your second novel.
Thank you. Eagerly waiting for you to read it, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'd love to because I watch obviously your TEDx talks, and I'm just sat there thinking, okay, I need to really, really get my life into gear now, because I feel really inspired to do something. And I think that this is what you were saying. We can look at the negativity that's going on in our world, but I always look at what people are doing in their world that's positive to help me push forward instead of getting caught in that negative loop. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing. It's truly amazing. What is next for you? Oh, no, it's fine. No, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no. So what's next for you? What's 2021 got in store for you?
Okay, so another TED Talk coming soon, by the way. Just another TED Talk coming soon. I mean, I don't know when, but it's like soon. So let's see when.
Wow.
But then, yeah, thank you so much. But then apart from that, I have a long list of ideas which I am going to start writing about very soon. Like, just to speak about it, I was writing another book when this entire mess of pandemic started last year. It was about another very serious social topic. But then when I saw the atrocities that this pandemic brought, I felt like I need to write a narrative about this first, and then I can like move on to my other topics or my other, let's say, to-do list of the books which I want to write. So I still have that book pending, which I will be working upon very soon. And then apart from that, a long list of talks, sessions, workshops around the world in various platforms around the world, which I look forward to, which I feel very excited about. Beyond that, I would say, because I myself am growing up and I'm always very honest about it, I'm just 18 years old and I am growing up. So I also need to figure out greater avenues in my life. If I've come so far, then it means that I need to go even further than this. There is a long road ahead of me. So identifying that long road, which is still ahead of me, all the great things that I can possibly do with my voice, with my words, for the greater good of the world, because that is what I feel genuinely passionate about in my heart. I think identification of that and working on that is something which I also very happily and very, I would say, gladly look forward to, feel excited about in the coming years. So all that enthusiasm is what is in store. And this enthusiasm is what keeps me going and wakes me up every day with a bright smile on my face to do everything on my calendar, just like this interview that we have today.
Brilliant. No, it's absolutely remarkable. And congratulations. Like I'll follow you on social media, and we're connected on LinkedIn, and I just keep seeing, like, you're nominated for this award, you've just won, top 100 India most inspirational persons, and it's like, wow. So honestly, keep doing what you're doing, Yash. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds for you as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me on the platform. And most importantly, best wishes to you and your team for all your upcoming talks and sessions. I personally look forward to viewing each one of them as well, because I know that you are working on a very important topic over here. So always looking forward to collaborate in future as well. You have my full support. And once again, thank you so much for having me. It was truly a joy addressing the global audience through your platform, Joe.
And likewise, thank you so much for being on this week's episode. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and you're always welcome